In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely moss stitch triangle scarf. Now obviously you can wear it any way that you like, but this is just the way that I tend to have it with the ends wrapped around. But it is just one large moss stitch triangle. So obviously it's really easy to do, and once you get going it's very repetitive, so it's a good one for while you're watching telly, and also a really good one for gifts. And I just love the texture that you get with the moss stitch. And anyone who's wondering, this is done with a Sidar patty cake yarn, so I will link that down below, but I will be using something slightly different for the tutorial itself. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, then do remember to like and subscribe. But let's get going with the triangle moss stitch. So for this one, for the tutorial, I'm going to be using this Sidar super soft rainbow drops yarn. So it's a cream yarn with just some really beautiful flecks throughout. I'm going to be using a 5mm hook, but with the moss stitch sometimes you may want to go up a half size just so that you get a nice drape with your scarf. So we're going to be starting with a slip knot, and just give yourself a relatively decent tail just so you can tie it in securely at the end. And you want to start with a chain of 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to slip stitch into that first chain to create a circle. So insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through both of those loops, and this now will give you a circle to work our stitches into. So we're going to chain 3 now, 2, 3, and then all of these next stitches will all be worked into that centre ring. So we've got our chain 3, which counts as a treble crochet. Now remember, I'm working in UK terms, so in the US this is going to be counting as your double. But we are then going to do 1 double crochet, so in the US this is your single. So insert your hook into that centre ring, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and you'll yarn over and pull through both. You then want to chain 1, and we're now going to create the corner. So we're going to create the bottom V of the shawl or the scarf. So you want to do another double crochet, so yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through 2. And because we're creating the corner, we want to chain 2. So 1 and 2, and then back into that centre ring again. You're going to mirror what we've got on the other side. So you're going to do the double, which counts as part of your corner, chain 1, double crochet, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then obviously if you remember we started with that chain 3, so we need to finish with a treble. So yarn over, insert into that centre ring, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that, it doesn't look like much, but that is the beginning of the scarf. So for the start of every single round, you're going to chain 3 and turn. And then into this very first space here, it's not a chain space or anything, it's just the space underneath the top stitch of that treble crochet. So you can see you've got your double here and your treble here, and there is just a space there. And so you're not going through the top of that stitch, you're going completely underneath all the sections and into the space. So insert your hook into that space and do a double crochet. And that is how you're going to start every single row that you do. And so now we're going to start building up the moss stitch part. So you're going to chain 1 so that you can jump over the top of this first double crochet, and then into that chain 1 space from the previous row. So it'll be in between your 2 double crochets here, you'll have a chain 1 space. So you'll insert your hook into that chain 1 space, yarn over and pull up and complete your double crochet. And then again, chain 1, and you should be at your corner, so your V here. And into this you're going to create a new corner. So into that chain 2 space just here, you're going to do a new corner which will always be the same. So it will consist of 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet, all into that same chain 2 space. So that is your new corner. Chain 1 so that you can jump over that next double crochet, and into that chain 1 space just here you will do a double crochet. Chain 1, jump over this double crochet, and then you will finish here, and you will always finish in the exact same way. So you will do 1 double crochet into, so it's the space after that double and between that chain 3, so that space here. So 1 double crochet and a treble. So yarn over, insert and complete your treble. And that is round 2 completed. Again, chain 3 and turn. And again, find that space in between your double and your treble. So that space down here, and do a double crochet. So that is your start, as I say, of every row. You'll then do your chain 1, skip the double, and into that next chain 1 space, you do a double crochet, chain 1, skip that double crochet and do another into the chain 1, so double crochet into there, chain 1, and again you should be at your corner, and so you want to create your new corner into that chain 2 space, so you need to do double crochet, chain 2 and double crochet all into that very same space. Chain 1, jump over that double and do your next double into that chain 1 space. Chain 1, again double into the chain 1 space, chain 1, and then between that final double and that chain 3 you're going to put 1 double crochet and a treble into that same space. So you can see it's starting to take more shape now, but that is literally the pattern that you're going to keep repeating again and again and again until your project is the size that you want it to be, basically. But I'll do one more row with you now, and then I will leave you to continue working that up. And then if I bring back the completed one, you can see that I've done a line across the top edge of the scarf. I wanted to give it a nice straight edge, because it is obviously, with working in trebles and chains, you do sometimes get a very slightly lumpy finish, and obviously I didn't particularly want that, and so I just went round very quickly after I'd finished my last row and did a nice row of doubles across the top. But for anybody that wants that, just meet me obviously later in the video. But as I say, I'll do one more round with you now. So chain 3 as always, and turn, and again into that space between the treble and the double you're going to put 1 double crochet, so that's always the same. Chain 1 now, and then you're going to double into the chain 1 space from the last row, chain 1, double into that chain 1 space, chain 1, double into the chain 1 space, chain 1, and again when you get to your corner chain 2 space you want to do your double crochet, chain 2, double crochet to create that new corner, and you must make sure you do that every time so that you don't end up on a wonky shape. Chain 1, and then obviously double into all of your spaces. Chain 1, double into the chain space, chain 1, double into that chain space, chain 1, and then again you're going to finish with a double and a treble in between those final 2 stitches. But that is how you're going to work your entire shawl or scarf. And then if you want to meet me once you get to your desired size, and I will show you just quickly how to add on a nice even smooth top edge. But obviously you can leave it just as it is once it's finished, but it's just a personal preference. And we'll also fasten in this end as well, and that will just help to close up that starting chain just a little bit. But that is it for the pattern repeat itself, so I will see you shortly to finish off. Okay, so obviously I'm only going to be doing this very small sample piece for you now, but at this point, once you've reached as big as you want your project to be, I will leave some measurements down in the description box as to how big I generally make mine. But you may get a very slight curve going across the top edge of your work, so you can see I've got a very slight curve on mine, and this border also helps to just bring it all together, and it keeps it really nice and straight. So once you've finished your final round, you are going to chain 1, and you're going to keep, you're not going to turn like you normally would, you're just going to keep whichever side you've got facing you, just keep it facing you the whole time. So we've chained 1, and if you remember, you've just done a treble here. So around this treble at the very end, just here, you're going to put 2 double crochets. Now remember, I am working in UK terms here, so in the US this is your single crochet. So we're going to go around the whole of the treble. So the whole of the post of the stitch, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, and you'll obviously have your 2 loops, and then pull through both. And because it's a treble, I'm going to do 2 around that same stitch. And then you'll be able to see relatively easily, especially if you've been using a variegated yarn. Obviously I'm using a flecked yarn, which does make it a little bit more tricky. But obviously at the end of each row, you should have a treble to work around. So you've got 1 there to work around. It will either be a treble or a chain 3. So 1 there, 1 there, and they should be really easy to spot. So hopefully you should be able to pop this on without too much bother. But from now on, we've done 2 on the edge because we don't want the edge to curl up. So we've chained 1 and done 2 around that one. But for the rest of them, all the way until the middle, we are going to only put 1 double crochet around each treble or chain 3. So around the next space, you'll do 1 double crochet. The next space, 1 double crochet, and the next. So it's very, very simple. You're just going to put 1 double crochet around that final treble or chain 3 on every single one. You're just going to put 1 double crochet. So they should be easy to spot. So I'm going to very quickly work my way to the center. So obviously take your time with it, make sure you don't miss any, because otherwise your work will start to bunch up. And if for whatever reason you do feel like it's getting a bit tight or that it's not lying flat or anything, you can obviously, if you feel you need to, maybe alternate between putting 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. But I just find obviously that you can see on mine here, it is just staying nice and straight, just with the 1. But just see how you feel as you work along. So I'm nearly at my centre now. I've got this last one to do. And then into the centre one where we started from at the very beginning, I'm going to put 2 double crochet in there. And then again, we're going to work back up this side with 1 double crochet around each treble or chain 3 until we get to the end one. And obviously to match the other side, you're going to put 2 double crochets in that end one, but we'll do that when we get to it in just a second. So it's a really easy way to finish it off, but it just helps to bring everything together, keep everything nice and neat and even. So you don't have to do this, as I said before, it's a completely optional part of the pattern. I'm at the other end and you can see my last stitch just here, right at the top. So I'm going to do 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2. And then what I'm going to do is chain 1 and slip stitch back into that same space. Then you will cut off and weave in your ends. I mean, obviously you can't really tell because I've used the exact same yarn, but I know that it's got a nice, straight, smooth edge that has finished off this sample piece, and obviously it will be the same on your larger piece as well. And it just means you've got a nice border across the top there for if you wanted to add some sort of shell or frill border. Obviously go and have a little root around on my channel. You might find something that you want to put onto the edges just to jazz it up a little bit if you wanted. But obviously it just means that they're nice and straight and ready to go if you wanted to add anything else. So I'm not actually going to snip off, obviously, because I'm just going to undo this and carry on. But you would just need to sew in this end. So if you've used a variegated yarn, then hopefully you might only have 2 ends to sew in, which is always such a nice feeling. And you would just obviously wrap that around and around, and I would probably wrap it around 3 times under those centre stitches there, and then I would pull it tight and then I would snip it off, and it would just close up that circle a little bit more for you. So you'd thread it up and weave it around those stitches a couple of times, give it a good tug and then snip off. But that is it for this moss stitch triangle scarf or shawl, whatever you want to call it. And like I say, the one at the beginning which was completed, I will put my measurements in the description box for that. But I will see you again soon for another tutorial. Bye!